It is Brooke with the Junk Parlor, and today we are working on the built-ins. So we recently had hardwood floors installed in the living room, which tied into the dining room and kitchen, hardwood floors in the master, and then they sanded, stained, and sealed everything. So we had loaded everything from the main floor into the basement, and now we are slowly bringing things back up. We have the couch in, we have a few plants in. I've been playing around over there. I rehung a mirror, I rehung a clock, but we are going to redecorate the shelves. And I'm just gonna kind of walk you through my process of deciding why or where to put things and why I do that. Let's see how it goes. Okay, I brought stuff up to put in the built-ins. Made about 1 million trips. I will probably still need to make 1 million trips to fill in the bookcases, and I'm out of breath. So we're gonna go ahead and probably just leave the shelves where they are currently. And I have the blinds down because it is literally like over 100 degrees with the heat index. So trying to keep the house a little bit cooler, but we're just gonna keep the shelf location as is. And then as I get started, if I wanna change it, I will. Not only am I bringing smalls up to fill in the built-ins, but I also need to arrange, like here in front of the mirror, normally I have some plants. I have not decorated my kitchen counters, our little drop station. We have mudroom lockers there. I need to do something above them. I've pretty much got the bedroom decorated, although I need to figure out some kind of chair situation. Hubby wants to be able to sit down to put his socks and shoes on. I haven't hung the things that I have here, which I haven't liked anything that I've tried so far this year, so who knows what I'm gonna end up with. You can see my hooks are in the same spot. We just took them down for the guys to do the wood floors. So I need to hang the mirrors and decorate this area as well. And then I'm thinking, I'd always kind of thought about putting something beside the clock, so I might actually do that. I've also debated putting stuff up on top of the clock because it's like a shelf, so we will see. I did already fill in the little books here on my side table because I liked that and wanted to keep it, but I need to come up with something for on top. And still on the hunt with Facebook Marketplace, I want a round, essentially like a dining room table, but a darker wood round coffee table. Trying to find one with 4 legs because we do put our feet on it, so I don't want to ruin the table because we put so much pressure on it. This light one is fine for now, but I don't like it as well as I did when we had the carpet. And you might notice here on the bottom, I don't know how it's looking on the camera, but when the guys did the wood floor, because everywhere else needed white shoe, which this is actually Creamy by Sherwin-Williams, they just did the white shoe, the creamy shoe, all the way around the built-ins, which looks freaking stupid because the cabinets are unfinished and then you have brown on the floor. So this is early American on the floor. So the white looks stupid. I popped it off already and I will be cutting and nailing the trim myself just because I can't live with white. So let's go ahead and get started. So what I like to do is do the bigger pieces first. And I'm a big believer in staggering, or, you know, if you have something high on this side and you have something similar, put it low on the other side, and really doing like a zigzag effect. So maybe high, medium, low. So I'll just kind of walk you through that process. This stool I absolutely love. It was my great grandma's. It was always in her kitchen, dining room, eating area, normally stacked with magazines. But we sit on this, we use it as a step stool, and we keep it cleared off so that we can use it as a stool, and I just love it. I'm putting the clock up there. That's where I had it before. I really like it. I got it on a pick when somebody was getting ready to move and kind of had special meaning to me. So I kept it, and then I found the one that was hanging on the wall on Facebook Marketplace, and I've always just kind of kept my eye out for some, but I am very frugal. I haven't really found any that are just like it because everything is always a couple $100s. I should also mention that I got cupped this morning and so that's what those bruises are. So you're gonna have to look at those for a while. You can see that this I carried to the basement, then carried back upstairs, and that's how it was on the shelf. I have a bunch of eggs in it. These are all DIYs that I have over on the blog at thejunkparlor.com if you want to check those out. We've got moss, we have twine, we have decoupage. I don't necessarily need to keep those in there, and I don't necessarily want to keep everything the same as I had it because I'm wanting to change it up a little bit. So I'm going to take these apart. I also dusted downstairs before I brought everything up because leading up to the floors getting done, it's like, why clean? They're gonna get dusty anyway. When I'm bringing everything back up, I'm trying to clean it as we go because when things got sanded, of course, dust got everywhere. This I had on the table that the camera's sitting on and had some goodies underneath it. It actually was too big. It was hanging off, but I kept it anyway. So I am going to see if it will fit over here. It is hanging off just a little bit, and I think that I'm not going to be able to handle that. So I'm probably going to leave it on the piece of furniture that the camera's sitting on, and I'll probably just rearrange that so that it's not setting on anything to overhang this time. You'll notice with my clock placement, I did do high, and then on the left, and then I did on the right, medium. I do have some smaller clocks and some clock faces that I can work into this. And I just want to mention that anything that you see, if you are interested in it, just comment below. It might be something that I already have for sale or I am willing to sell, and definitely check out thejunkparlor.com. Okay, I know we are just getting started, but it is always a good idea to do odd numbered groupings. So we have a clock, we have a juggling pin and a smaller juggling pin. Changing your heights, tall, medium, and low. That is a kind of a standard way of decorating. Also thinking about things like a triangle. So farther back is the clock. The bigger pin is kind of in the middle, depth-wise, and then the smallest one is in the front. So for example, on this one, if we're thinking about things from a bird's eye view, meaning you are looking at it straight through my house, through the ceiling, you have a point, a point, and a point in the center of each of these items, and it is going to make a triangle. So that's kind of a little bit of a decorating thing. Also, just varying your wood tones. In my case, we also have leathers. We have this watch cabinet. So I am using a little bit of everything. And then I'm gonna be mixing in green, my favorite color. I have a ton of little 2-drawer cabinets, card catalogs, index card catalogs, library cabinets, whatever you want to call them. I like to use them here for risers, for color, just to add some dimension. This one I just brought up. I'm not 100% sure I really like the coloring. So I have a lot of different color wood tones in here. This one is a little bit redder and shinier, so I'm not sure if I'm going to keep it. But I do like to spread them out, like I mentioned, not putting like all drawers over here and no drawers over there. You want to space it out. Now obviously this cabinet is hiding the smaller mirror behind it. So I'm just going to see if I push the drawer back, if I can set the mirror on top of it, and if that gives me the look that I want. It's not bad. I a lot of times like to have my core pieces set where I like them by themselves, but a lot of times you can sprinkle in small pieces and make something work. So it's okay, I'm probably not gonna leave it. I always want to have different heights. So the taller mirror is still taller than the short mirror stacked on the drawers. And then the drawers are obviously lower, but we're going to do something else. This apothecary jar I have been using in this space. However, I don't think it will fit. Only but a couple spots. So it would fit up here. That's where I had it last time, so I want to change it up. So I want to put it somewhere else. It would fit over here, but I already have the glass cloche. So unless I was going to do like 3 glass pieces in that little cubby, let's call it, then I wouldn't want to have all the glass together. I could do a little cubby of 3 glass pieces, which we could try, and then do 3 glass pieces in a cubby over here, or make sure that I have some more apothecary jars or cloches on this side to kind of balance it out. Or I will put it on that back dresser cabinet and make a little area that has a bunch of glass. And putting collections of smaller things in an apothecary jar or under a cloche just helps it make a statement, makes it more substantial. So it takes a little bitty thing and makes it heavier, gives it the appearance of being one thing. In my coaching group, Staging Your Antique Shop, I talk to dealers about setting things up a certain way. And when we're talking about that, you can kind of just think about each thing as a silhouette. So if I have, for example, ignore those brass pieces, but I have this bowl sitting on the 2 drawers, that serves as one thing for your eye. And so just think about this as a shadow, that blob, that square, round, sphere, rectangular, whatever it is, that outline, the shadow is one thing. So when you put small, okay, when you put small things inside of something or under a cloche, then it helps give it the weight of one thing. So I tried putting that apothecary jar over on the other side, but I don't like it mixed with the cloche. If it was all apothecary jars that had like finial lids or finial tops, I think it would look good with a grouping of 3, but not with the cloche. So we're gonna move it over here, even though this is where I had the paintbrushes before, but instead of putting them here on this side, I'm going to kind of rearrange the mirrors to make it work on our left side. So now the mirror is going to go not perfectly in the center. You always want to divide a space into thirds. So each section is the same size. That gives me 2 lines, and I want to have this mirror on one line, either the right line or the left line. When I put the little mirror in front of it, notice that I am splitting the smaller mirror with the frame of the mirror in the back. So I want to put the paintbrushes on the left this time since I put them on the right last time. I know, a big change. So to make that more aesthetically pleasing, we're going to put the little mirror here. That should make a cloche here, maybe the same height as the mirror, but it gives me an opportunity to do that high, medium, and low. And then obviously I can put something here in front of the mirror. That would make 4 things. So then I would want to add something else to get my odd numbered items here. But that would really help with my grouping to have the mirror over here so we can make a stair step effect. Okay, so I moved the cloche over here, and you can just kind of see in the camera that a lot of the wood tones that I have on this side of the built-ins are dark. So we need to work in some lighter things. And I can do that with the smaller accessories, but I need something to go in front of here. So I grabbed this little dresser, and I think that it's pretty cute. It looks pretty good, but I don't like it in front of this mirror. The mirror is just too low. If I took that out, it's fine, okay? Because we have high, medium, low, we have our triangle, we have varying depths. Things aren't lined up like they would be at a grocery store. But I really want to pair these mirrors together. Well, I guess I don't have to, but I bought this one to match this one. This was my great-grandpa's shaving mirror. And so I kind of wanted to keep them together since I bought this one just because it is like a bigger size of the shaving one. But if I took that mirror out, that looks super cute. And the reason that that's good is because it works in some other wood tones because this side is very dark. I'm also wanting to work in some color, which I said, green's my favorite color. So we're gonna work in some green. I did have a couple of green books and they're lower so we can see the mirror. I could put some plates on top if I want. I might put a plant here. I could do a little something that I have because I have smaller things and just set those on the plate. That gives it some weight by layering, or I can leave them without and do something completely different. It doesn't really matter. We are still in the beginning stages where I'm gonna put some of the bigger things in and then we'll put some smaller things in and we just keep tweaking and tweaking and tweaking. But I'm going over some general guidelines. Plus, this is 4. 4 is an even number. 1, 2, 3, 4. I know that I'm going to want to have something else mixed in here to give me that odd number. And the other thing that I wanted to talk about, we talked about staggering things and dividing things into thirds. So if this little mirror is over here and it's cut in half, and then I put the books here, it kind of looks separated. We've got quite a bit of a gap here and it just maybe doesn't look as cohesive. Sometimes people spread things apart too much and they need to put them closer together so that it makes a statement. Otherwise, it just looks like you randomly set 3 things down. Again, thinking about our thirds, so I don't want that to be perfectly split. Okay, hopefully you're following me. And then I don't want my books to be lined up perfectly either. So if we're just thinking about ignoring the cloche, we have a mirror, we have the edge of the mirror, the edge of the mirror, the edge of the book. They're all in a different spot. They're not all lined up. That's not to say that things don't look good when they're perfectly lined up. You can totally do that too. But if you are struggling with getting something to look, you look at it and you're like, yeah, it just doesn't seem right. Try splitting things into thirds versus lining them all up perfectly. I took the paintbrushes out of this cabinet because this apothecary jar and the cloche, they just didn't look good. So I mentioned that I wanted to get things that had finial tops. I have a lot of options. I have some other options. These are just ones that I could get to fit here. Doing a grouping that's similar but not exact is a good technique to use. So we've got all different shapes, for the most part different heights, and they just kind of have a little bit different feel. This one has a different feeling than this one. This one is more straight and clear cut, and I have different things in all of them. I do have a blog post talking about things you can put under a cloche, which these are not cloches, but it's kind of the same concept and same idea. So We will be putting some stamps in there. I just have those on Instagram for sale, and I didn't want to have to pour them out and dig through to get certain letters as people wanted things and then put them back in here. So they will eventually go in here. Again, odd numbers. So if we have 4 in here right now, we want to vary the depths. Some are back, some are forward. And we'll even see if we can fit a 5th one on here. Okay, odd number, doesn't look bad. We're zigzagging, okay? Front, back, and everything you can see. If you're standing straight in front of it, you can see the things behind. But to me, it's just too much. And I feel like this one is just kind of odd man out. These two are too similar in height. So we're going to pull some out. Right now, I do not have any of these apothecary jars on the other side, so I can move some and put them on the other side. Again, that's giving us our repetition. So we're being cohesive by having the similar things on both sides, whether it's texture or color or kind of item. That's something to think about to make your built-ins, to make your bookcases, to make your decor in your house, period, feel cohesive. See how adding that just gives it a different look, it elevates it. Now I think in our grouping of 3, I'm not going to like having 3 bases, even though I do have 3 dark bases that I could use. But I think if you had a single piece sitting, that using a base is going to be nice. So let me just kind of show you another base that I have. This one almost makes it too tall, but it's still not bad. But if you had 2 that were the same height like these, you can put 1 on a riser. Okay, we're getting a little bit closer on this side. I decided that I really don't like the green mirror in the background, so we're going to switch that out. And then I was moving this one around and I set it here and I decided that I do like the 4 together, so we're going to leave those there. I also wanted to point out, like, once you kind of get your cubbies situated, then you can see the overall picture. So like right now we have green pottery, and I would like those, one to be on the right, one to be on the left. So the easiest way to do that is to slide our watch cabinet over, put the pictures on this side. Well, then when we do that, then we have green pictures and green pictures. So then I'm going to take those green pictures down. When your cubbies are the same size, it's easy to flop things around. You just take something out of one cubby and put it in another. The nice thing about having 2 sides is that if I feel like this side has a certain look and that side has a certain look, I can pull out of this side one of the cubbies and move it over there. I also noticed, which kind of hard to see because it is dark in here, the top section. Just to lighten up the top section, all I'm going to do is add something white. I really don't have anything white over here other than the platter stack, and I have quite a bit of white over there. So again, sometimes you're making one specific section look good, but then you have to remember to step back and look at it as an entire piece and decide then what needs to get switched around. I didn't measure. This one is going to be too tall, so my thought was it would fit in there perfectly, so we're gonna have to find another one. So just like we talked about before in other sections, if this is my halfway point, I want to have part of the cabinet cross through that line, but I don't want it to be perfectly centered. So we're situating it off to the side, and then we're gonna come back and decide how we want to do our picture placement. I like, again, to play around with it. Sometimes having all of the handles the same direction is going to look the best. Sometimes having one a different direction is going to look the best. It really just kind of depends on the pictures themselves and what else you have going on around. I'm still thinking of my tall, medium, and short. I'm also thinking of something farther back, middle, and towards the front as far as depth goes. So this way we have our green separated out. So next up we need to figure out something to go behind here. Okay, not a mirror, but I grabbed this hole punch to try out. And then something that I had there before was this sale sign. This is basically the mirror size, and I was thinking I wanted something a little bit bigger, so we will see how this looks, although I can tell I'm not loving it. Now I could hang it, but I don't want to put any holes in the back of this cabinet, and it's just not tall enough. So we have probably the easiest option is just to raise this shelf. So I think that's what we're gonna do. I scooted the grouping that's on the top over just a little bit. I think I'm, at least for now, just gonna leave the green suitcase. And then I think that this, with all the glass, is gonna look a lot better once I have some, the stamps put back in there. I do think having a cutting board or something long and skinny and dark would look good under all of the glass pieces, but I don't have anything, so we will just go with that. I could also put one of the pictures that I brought up here beside it, and I could do the green mirror. Let's try that and see what it looks like. But otherwise, we've got a little bit better green pattern going on. I feel like I'm gonna need some glass up in that top corner to kind of tie in all the glass that we have going on in this section. You ready? Are you ready to have your mind blown with this awesome advice? The biggest tip that I can give you when you are decorating is some days you're gonna be able to place things and you love everything and it looks great. And then some days you're gonna struggle. And this is whether you're decorating your house, you're decorating your booth, wherever you're decorating. And so if it's possible, just walk away. Just take a break, come back to it later in the day, come back to it the next day, because it's just going to flow better, work faster. It's going to come together quicker some days versus others. So today, Brooke's taking a time out. We're calling it quits, cleaning off the couch, and we'll come back to this tomorrow. And Bella's agreeing with me. She said, take a break. Hey, it's the second day working on the living room built-ins. There's a few spaces that I still need to work on, but I'm gonna show you what I've done and why I did what I did. Okay, so we're gonna kind of walk through what I did off camera. So the clock and the wine bottles were down here, but I just thought there was too much matchy-matchy, very natural. I didn't have a pop of color, and so I decided I needed to separate those two cubbies, we're gonna call them. So I moved that cubby to the top because basically they're the same size. And then I ended up bringing this drawer over from the other side because I felt like I needed something else dark and I needed height. And then this is gonna get a plant in it. I put the sign in the background because again, I needed height and just some color variation. And then I stuck some green on top. I did my stars from my willow tree nativity, which I like to showcase year round. Stars have a special place in my heart. If you don't know, we lost a baby when I was 9 months pregnant, Carson, and I decorated his nursery with stars. We put stars on his headstone. I have a tattoo of stars, so I like stars. So I have the stars there, and then I put a picture in front of it. So on this example, I really have things lined up straight. Things are not at an angle. So the picture is directly in front of the stars. And that is just another way to do your decorating, to basically stack things in front. We're still doing the staircase because we have the stars, and then we go down to the picture, and then we go down to the drawers, down to the cubby. So we're still having that stair step effect, but it's just a little bit different one because I'm not using that 1/3 rule. I had the green tin and I needed some height again, and I needed some color variation. So I stacked some butter pats on there. I put a little child's croquet ball on there, and then I took some darts and put them in a glass flower frog for display. Then I kept this the same. I don't remember if I had both bowls stacked, but I felt it just needed more height. And I had two bowls that are identical. One just has a lot more crazy than the other. So I left this as is. And then I think I flip-flopped this. Now, why did I flip-flop it? Because I had the green pictures over here on this side, and we had green pottery and green pottery. So I moved those over, and I actually flopped. So I have a grouping of 3. These are all smaller, and I have a grouping of 3 on the other side, and they're a little bit larger, or at least one of the pictures is larger. And I ended up flip-flopping them because I needed some height over there where I put them, because I wanted to put some dried flowers in one, and they were just too tall for this smaller picture. So I went ahead and put it on the other side. I did put a white tureen here in the back. Again, just for a pop of color. It needed some height, so I stacked that on top of some books, and I filled it with some pine cones just because I had those. I'm fine with having those out year round. Up here with my cloches, I haven't done anything other than tucked in a little sheep because I had a couple other sheep, again, from my nativity. And I had 2 on that side, so I put 1 over here. Still sorting out letters or stamps for people, so this will eventually get filled with stamps. Up here on this cubby, I think I had the suitcase square before, and I ended up putting it off to the right because we have the stacked boxes that kind of look like suitcases on the left on this side. I used another glass frog, and because I had the ball over there on the butter pats, I put the little child croquet ball on the middle hole of the glass flower frog, and then 2 little spikes are in the holes kind of at an angle. I put a white picture behind it at an angle, really just for color, just to brighten up that little space. And I put white, I stacked a couple white tea leaf platters on top of the suitcase, again for coloring. I have the shoe with the taller part to the inside, I guess you could say, and then tapered out. And the reason is because that is showing the most, the font and the writing that's on the shoe, and I want to showcase that. On the top, I had a clock there, and I swapped it out for something smaller. I thought the square one that I had was just too big. Otherwise, I feel like we're doing pretty good here. We have change in height, we have change in depth, We have changes in color. And then we, as a whole piece, we've tied things in because we have glass in different places. We have white in different places. We have different shades of brown and green. And so that's kind of making it feel cohesive. That brings us to the other side. So I kind of already mentioned that the pictures, I rotated them. I did stick a metal flower frog down in the pitcher and then put those dried stems in there. That helps them stand up and kind of flare out better versus all wanting to fall over to a side. I brought another box up here. This one is a little bit bigger, so I swapped that out with a couple little library card catalog drawers that I had and stacked the books. And then this is just a cigar box that someone has divided up, and I sealed it, cleaned it and sealed it. Then it still needed something. There wasn't quite enough space covered on this level, and so I put a plinth block, a stack of little ironstone plates, an egg basket, a crock, and then a plant. I actually have 3 like starters in the window that I need to actually plant. So my goal is to swap out some of these faux plants that you see and put like this one and the one in the white bowl and actually put a real plant. And then so that will go there in the crock. But I love layering. Layering, the key to me is to change color and shape. So we have the square plinth, we have a round plate, and then we have some more round things in different colors. Here, I had a couple more green bowls. We already have 2 on that side. So again, I did something on that side. I'm copying it on this side with the item, but styling them different. I put them on some dark risers. I filled this one with books. This one is empty. My little mirrors tucked back there just again to add some depth and layering. I put 2 clocks on a stack of books. We have a stack of books over on the other side. And then I moved this little drawer up here, and this is my little cubby to mimic the cubby on the other side with all of those apothecary jars, all of the glass. Now, I don't have a whole lot of things to go in the cloche, so I just kind of made do with things I had on hand. I put a little sheep in. I set a couple of the cloches on top of wood bowls, like nutcracker bowls, just because it gives height, it gives texture and dimension. And then I put an ostrich egg in one. I put a brass cup or goblet in one with a little nest at the bottom. And then on this side, I tear apart lamps all the time. So I took a lamp base, not a base, a lamp socket, the thing that holds the light bulb, and I just had it down there laying in a pile, and I saw it and I was like, ooh, that would be fun. My idea was to put the egg on it, but this cloche is not tall enough to do that. The bottom piece is a lamp base, and so I just threaded the lamp top that holds the bulb into that, and it keeps it pretty tight. And then I had this green fish float, and I just set it on top. So a little dangerous, but it should be okay. I don't have anybody throwing balls. And then I put the cloche on top. So that kind of helps with tying in all the glass in one cubby over on the other side. Up top, I just laying little stuff down here, had stacked the bowl on top of the lamp base, and then I stuck a plant in it, and that kind of fills out that cubby. The square clock that I had on the other side, I ended up bringing it over here, and I also flip-flopped this stuff because before I had the glass cloche, I had the glass jar, and we had our glass stuff on this side, so wood stuff was kind of on that side, so I flip-flopped. It was easier to flip-flop the top section than this section, and so that's what I did. This was already there, although I did stick in a couple of eggs. Your basic concept is repetition, varying heights, varying depth. If you follow those basic guidelines, then you're going to have a curated space. My biggest tips or things that I see people doing is lining everything up so they don't have the depth, they don't have the zigzag. They keep things spread apart, so maybe they have one thing, one thing, one thing, and if you put those 3 things, either line them up tightly or do the little triangle, that is going to make the space look more cohesive. And it's always a work in progress because I am selling stuff all of the time, so I am always flopping things out. And we sit here and watch TV, so if I'm staring at something and I'm like, I don't like how that looks, then I can just flop it out. Sometimes for me, I have to live in a space a little bit to determine what I like or don't like, what I need to look for when I'm out thrifting and junking, and then I go from there. I hope this video helped you with your decor, and let's look at the whole thing all together. And I'm not sure about these corbels. I had them up by the TV before, so we're just going to put them there, and then I can always take them out later once I have lived in the space. See you guys next time.